Afternoon, guys. Mark Ferrasci, Protect Dog Training. I just got done working Kai at Tractor Supply, and I'm on my way home, and I figured I'd yak at the screen a little bit about some of the things that's on my mind when I start going through this. Now, this one kind of goes to the owner, but it's also applicable for the general public. Right? So the biggest thing that I find as a professional, all the thousands of dogs that I've worked and all the stuff that I've dealt with in dealing with dogs, the same coin on the opposite side of that is the owner. And the owner is the most important factor, because if the owner doesn't get off the couch, put in the time to learn and grow with their animal and really understands the concepts that I've done with a dog, they're basically pissing their money away. And the problem is, in a general sense, that the industry as a whole, we have a lot of things that are touching the general public. And most of it is media. Right? Media that we put out, we do all these videos, we show all the dogs doing all their stuff, and it looks so impressive. And so that creates a perception in the general public's mind, right? When they go out and they watch movies like the Max movie or whatever it may be, and they see these dogs work, or you see Von Mueller with his movie dogs and the stuff that he does with his dogs. People have a misconception caused by the media that we push out there and what we show people, because all they see is the finished product. That's why one of the big reasons that I do my videos, and I try not to show the finished product. I try to make sure I show all of it. The finished product is important to me. I want to show people that I know what I'm doing and that the dog I can complete the product, right? But at the same time, the public needs to see and understand the thousands of hours that we put in to create these behaviors and what we go through in dealing with the dog not doing the stuff that he should be doing, and how we get to that end result where we end up getting a dog that's working and doing his job properly and all that. But to see all the little mistakes that I make, the things that happen, we're all human, okay? And there's not a trainer out there that can sit there and that can tell me that he doesn't go through, or she doesn't go through, the trials and tribulations of what you need to do to get a dog to become that finished product that we're working towards, right? But the general public only sees the finished product because most trainers only show you the finished product, because they're showing off and make themselves look good and they're proud of their work, and that's the media that hits the general public. So again, the general public's perception is skewed, right? Because they think that this is what I call the robot syndrome, right? That a dog is a robot, and then all you got to do is have the dog trained, he comes home and he's trained, and that behavior will stay there forever and they don't have to do anything. That is so far from the truth, right? Because you have to learn and grow with your animal as an individual, because the dog respects and views everybody as an individual. He may walk all over the old lady in the house and not do that with the old man, right? And that's because male and female, but that's also opposite depending on the female. If the female's a professional trainer, she knows what she's doing, that dog will work as well, and he doesn't need to be a professional, but just somebody that understands the concepts and puts that expectation into the dog and what they expect, what they demand, their criteria, all of that, right? It matters, right? So the general public is skewed in their perception, and I deal with it all the time. I usually give a consultation and I start lecturing my customer from day one about what I call the robot syndrome, and I basically start out making sure that the customer understands all these things. Why? Because in the end, they're going to judge me by the dog not working for them. And that's so unfair, because the dog is going to work. Now they just got to get off the couch, put in the work to follow through themselves and to get the dog to work for them. And they're off and rolling. The dog already is trained, so he's got to know what's expected, as long as the customer learns how I've done it, what I've done, and then has a criteria in their mind that they're going to stay on top of this. They're going to expect it. At first, it's what we call drive-through. It's going to take work, because the dog's not going to want to do it for you until you do enough work that the dog starts to comply with what you expect, right? So you got to show them that you expect the same thing. If you don't, you let him get away with it. Back to my point of view, the dog's not a robot. His behaviors are going to slide. He's only going to do what you expect him to do. So if you let him get away with murder, example of that would be right now, I'm working on Kai's downstep, right? And I'm going to be diligent about that and what I expect, and I'm going to follow through. My criteria is going to be set, and I'm going to expect it each time. If that dog blows it and breaks, he's going to get a correction. He's going to get put back to where he belonged. We're going to keep following through with what I expect of him and the criteria that I have established, right? So the same thing needs to be applied by the owner. If you don't do that, you're pissing your money away, right? All kinds of us are out here doing, and I specialize in it, inboard, right? That's what I specialize in. I'm darn good at it. It's what I do in a general sense. I can give classes and do that, but in a general sense, I do a lot more inboard than I do anything else because I like having the dogs in my hands so I can get the dog through it. We're done and over with, and now we get to the other side. Now we got to work with the customer, right? So I find that 90% of the time, believe it or not, customers will sit there and go, oh yeah, I understand. The dog goes home, they may do 1 or 2 lessons, they fall out, and they don't see him again, right? And that to me is sad because it's pissing your money away. What a waste. Where I expected this, and you don't follow through and the dog slides and it becomes an untrained dog. Whose fault is that? It's not the dog. It's not me. I've done my job, right? It's you because you didn't get off the couch and you didn't want to put the work in, right? So that's where I've got a kind of a jaded attitude about our modern society compared to when I first started back in the 70s and 80s. People had a lot more of a work ethic. They'd get off the couch, they'd put the time and they'd put the understanding into what they had to do. Nowadays, they want to pay for it and they think the dog's going to be a robot. Again, in a way, it's our fault because we push so much media out there. We push so much of the perfection in what we're doing that looks all impressive, makes us look good. And the trainer may be the best trainer in the world. But if you don't follow through, you don't learn, you don't grow with your animal, again, you're pissing your money away because that behavior is not going to stay there. And the dog is not a robot, okay? So just take it for the word of the wise, a little bit of a yak session in regards to that. Remember that. Most trainers aren't going to say this and be as brutally honest as I'm being, okay? They're going to sell you and get your money in their pocket, and they don't really care about, because if they've done their job and you fail on the other side, the owner, and you don't put the work in to working and learning and growing with your animal, it's not their fault, right? So they just, and then you go down the road and you don't get to follow through and your dog doesn't stay trained, right? You don't get to have that ultimate relationship with the dog that I look for, right? And the perfection and the ability of my dogs is here because that's our life. That's what I always expect, right? So it's not hard if you want to follow through and learn and pay attention, and then you're going to be able to have the same thing that I do, a well-trained dog. Right? If you don't, you're just pissing your money away. All right, so we're done with that little yak session. Have a good day, guys. Remember, the robot syndrome, right? What your perceptions are, how you perceive what training is really the key. And I look for that when I'm working with a customer. And I'm working with my customer all the way through all that, trying to make them understand that it's all about them changing their perspective and understanding what they're getting into and what they're paying for. I'm here to help you. I give lessons after the backside. When the dog goes home, I give lessons, and we're there to help you and guide you. But if you don't want to put the passion in and learn and grow with your animal, the behavior is going to be here and it's going to slide. You're just basically pissing your money away, right? So, thank you very much. Mark Ferrasci, Protect Dog Training, yakking to the screen about dogs as usual. You guys have a good day.